And hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome back to Fireside Cast. It's us again, Eki and Wild Rumpus, bringing you our next matchup, round 6. I believe Balls team and Witness EU. I'm feeling pretty excited about it. We just saw the Euros play a very, very sloppy and it was a slugfest.
Messy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still an exciting game, nonetheless. And I'm curious to see this matchup because I want to see where the Balls team kind of fit into things here.
Yeah.
Because at a NA-only event, they, on paper, are a third-place team.
Mm-hmm.
This is not an NA-only event, and there is a lot of competition here. And this is their chance to prove, hey, I know we're not the best in this region, but this region is better. So we're still going to play against you, and we're still going to fight.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I mean, Witness has been proving to be really tough as an opponent. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, Witness has really just let rip with a lot of things. They are not holding back, I think, is something that is really helping them out here. They are giving it their all in every game. They're treating every game as if they're fighting for that first place trophy.
Yeah.
They're not pulling any punches. They are just sending it. And they're quick on their feet as well. Their heads are on a swivel. They're reacting to things appropriately. Obviously, they're still making some mistakes. You know, not everybody can be perfect. But Witness EU is doing a very good job in this land. They're performing exceptionally well. They have a lot of good players on their team. Some of the best players I have spectated.
Yeah.
I honestly think they are going to be top 3. There is no question about that in my mind. This team is going to be at least one of the top 3.
Okay. That's definitely high praise, but I mean, they've certainly earned it at this point. And yeah, looks like we are on process for this.
I'm not sure if they've done map picks yet. Hopefully we can...
so they might be...
okay, we do not have map picks yet, so we will figure that out as soon as possible.
So we just get to chop it up.
Yeah, we just get to waffle a little bit until we figure out what map we're going to be playing on. I guess if they were to pick a map, would you want them to play on a map they've already played tonight and have already proven themselves on, or would you want to see them pick a new one just because it's day one?
I don't know. I just want to see something exciting. And honestly, I don't think that the maps are going to influence that too much, or rather it won't make it too boring, because especially when you're at a LAN event and when everything feels so good, like the rockets are hitting and the movement feels crisp and all of that, you just want to take fights and you want to get in there and actually do things. This is something that I've always felt whenever I'm playing at LAN. People just play aggressively in general.
Yeah. And
so a lot of maps that are more considered boring or slower still have some pace to them.
Yeah. I think a lot of the time, when we're going into a map, especially if it's a LAN, like you said, teams are going to be playing way more aggressively. But I think a map that eludes that aggressiveness all of the time is always Snake Water.
I was expecting that, yeah. Snake's interesting because I actually really am a fan of the Snake Water mid because there's a lot of different ways to play it, but also it's one of the few mids where, I mean, there's different ways to play mids and teams will rotate or do whatever, but positionally, you can't rotate on a Snake Water mid.
Yeah.
You are on this side, they are on that side, and you either go over there or they come to you, or you just wait and feel things out. So no matter what, it's a unique mid, and I like it for that. But on top of that as well, the second point is pretty interesting in that the push through lower, or just taking space through lower, doing things as an attacking team through lower is really, really free compared to other maps where those choke points are much easier for the defenders to hold, which does open the point up a bit for more of those dynamic situations where instead of you're just trying to peek the door, get some spam, and then send your sack, it's more of, okay, we might be able to like take some space and then bait out an exchange. Oh, they're taking a lot of damage and their med's behind like Shed or something like that. Perfect opportunity to bomb. And at this point, your own med like back up, bait that Uber, stuff like that. It just makes for a really like interesting sort of dynamic. But then you get to last and a lot of it falls apart because it's just difficult to really do anything into. It's difficult to push out of last as well, which is another aspect that makes a map stalematy is like, you know, both ways. If it's really easy to push out of a last, then, you know, you're not going to be stuck there all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Snakewater is every point except for last I love. Snakewater is one of my favorite maps for its mid and its second, and then you put the last in the mix and it just, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it.
Yes.
But we do have map picks for this round 6 game. We are going to be playing Sunshine. I'm not sure if we've seen the Europeans play it yet. I think we did earlier. Or was it the I'm already forgetting. I got
We
dementia.
did get G6 versus the Aussies on Sunshine.
Right.
I haven't been keeping up with every game, so I'm not sure if it's been on stream yet. But Sunshine is such a standard map that it's hard to imagine that it hasn't been played.
Yeah.
At the very least, it's so standard that it's really hard to discern if it gives an edge any way or the other. But yeah, I'm excited. And I was actually talking to Ben, who is one of the only Euros here not participating. It was fun talking about, because I don't know much about what's going on in EU or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that this Witness team was formed in part for this event.
Yeah.
Like a year ago, in the sense that, you know, they already had a core, but they made roster changes knowing that they were going to play in this event well in advance, and they've been on that grind. And in comparison, I mean, Ball's team is all talented players.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think if any of them haven't won invite at this point. But it's a sort of pug scrim team.
Yeah.
They're scrambling a roster together. This isn't a core of players who play on a team consistently. And they surely haven't been practiced with this tournament in mind to the same extent that Witness Gaming EU has.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. We do have a update. I was a little bit wrong. We're not playing Sunshine. We're
it's
actually
Process.
playing Process for
Funny
this
thing about
game.
that map is that anything you say about Sunshine also applies to Process.
Well, Sunshine is just better Process, no?
Yeah, absolutely. So unfortunately, we're playing on the slightly outdated and inferior version of this one map that we play in 2 different map picks. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the same stuff applies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Process is definitely going to boil. I think Sunshine definitely is Process, but better, but it has its own unique quirks that make it just slightly different from Sunshine.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think Process is going to boil down a lot more to the fundamentals, as it usually does, regardless of LAN or online. Process usually boils down to just who knows the map better. Everybody's going to know it here, but I think some people are going to know a little bit more about it than others. And really, it's just a contest of map knowledge and raw skill for a map like Process, because it's so well known. Everybody knows everything, especially at this echelon of gameplay where these teams are the very, very top and have been champions multiple times. I just think that we're going to be seeing a lot of DM-heavy moments on Process.
And I've noticed as well that these teams in general, because there's been a few Process games already, and I mean, they've been getting into it. Like, especially, I think where Process shines a lot is in the transition from second into last. You have so many opportunities and so many doors to get into last, which means that if you're on top of things and you're moving quickly, then it's pretty straightforward to turn a relatively small or relatively short-lived advantage, like kills that you get on second, into last and into a scrappy last fight. And we were seeing teams do that for sure. And I'm looking forward to those scrappy fights where it's not just the most standard Uber into last. You really have to see how things shake out. And that's where the minutia and the details really begins to shine.
Yeah. And like you said, the transition from last into second is, I think, one of the more interesting parts of the map. Like you said, just because there's so many options, there's so many routes for teams to take. You can leave through one, you can leave through rollout, you can leave through lower, you can go through upper IT if you wanted to. There's so many things you can do, so many different routes you can take, and nobody, no whole team has to go through one. Obviously, that's kind of just a rule of sixes in general. No whole team should be going through one door. But a lot of the times with Process, you can kind of get away with that just because there's so much to watch at once that the other team is kind of split. And if you're quick enough, you can throw your whole team through, lower.
Definitely something that I don't expect to see, but I'm not going to count it out of the possibilities, is like back cap potential, because there's hiding spots in lobby and things like that in upper IT. Makes Process kind of a back cap map in lower divisions.
Yeah.
These guys are obviously way better at clearing and spotting players and doing all of that. But honestly, like, back cap is kind of a nebulous term, because yes, it's very obvious when you're already pushing into the next point and someone's behind you, like, yeah, they get the back cap. But what if everyone is still in last, but the remaining members of a team are chasing some kill by 2 and someone else slips in and there's enough cap time and suddenly it converts? And that's why some of these really dynamic fights on last can be really cool, because this moment to moment, you really have to be paying attention to all these different factors.
Yeah, there's just so many things to keep track of, and that's just kind of nature of TF2 with how quick it is, being a movement shooter. There's so much you have to keep track of on your own. Just like even playing a pub, there's so much to keep track of if you want to live for more than 2 seconds. And then you add 11 other players into it, and you have to communicate with 5 other people. It just adds a whole layer of complexity, multiple other layers of complexity, and you have to keep track of where all of the other players are. It's just so much to do, and because Process is so well known, I think a lot of teams kind of have a lot of strategies kind of ingrained in their mind. They have things in the back of their head that they just execute without even thinking about it. Someone just says oh, default this, default that. And they kind of go somewhere, they do something, they rip an exchange, they rip a sack, something like that. And most of the time what I've seen on Process, granted I have a very limited sample size, I've only been covering games for a year and a half, but a lot of the time what I've seen is teams will get so comfortable with those defaults that they have that they'll just rip it, and it'll often end up turning around and biting them because they rip it in a situation they really shouldn't. And it's just because they've got so complacent, they think they can do it there, and they just can't. I don't expect that to happen a whole lot, just because top tier teams here, I think they know what they're doing.
I agree, but it is easy to miss things because people are used to playing on their own setups at home, and notably not in a venue that's loud. And especially if you're an invite player playing an exciting match, there's people watching you as well, not just at home, but literally behind your shoulders. So it's different. There's an adjustment there, to be sure. And some of those details that someone might pick up on when they are at their most comfortable, you kind of have to lock in to be able to catch those same details here.
And like you were saying, people are literally over their shoulder. I think there was a Froyo game earlier. And I went over there because, I wanted to look. I was standing behind them. I was in there, arms crossed, just watching. And it was a line, an entire line of people just shoulder to shoulder watching the Froyo game. And they were so close to the players. I mean, you have people practically breathing down your neck, and you have a loud venue, like you said. I mean, I can hear myself on the speakers over here through the headphones, over the game, over you. The venue's loud. There's people, there's a lot of sound, and it's hard to kind of stay focused because you got all these external factors, but I think these teams are going to be able to stay on top of it. Obviously, some mistakes will get made, but I do think we have the countdown. I believe we are going live to the first round of Process. So right off the bat, let's see what's going on. Of course, always, I'm taking a look at these demos, want to see what they're doing off the bat, who's getting there faster, who's getting the most damage. It looks like Lucas is going to be the first one there, and I believe. Nothing too crazy is going on right now. We just have players pushing forward. High Five playing towards Glass, looking to be a little bit more central. Soldiers going in. Poppy going towards Choke. One nice rocket onto the beam. Two nice rockets, but not a lot of damage. Zilly sitting at 30 HP. Could easily survive here. It is going to be Jay finding Hugo. Slumnish going to find Thomas. It's going to be Ixie dying as well. It looks like Witness EU is just crumbling right now. They don't have the players to sustain themselves on that mid, and they're going to have to, I mean, I would say they're going to have to back away, but they're going to have to set up fully on last with full disad. They're wiped.
I was not expecting such an explosive mid out of balls because, I mean, we did see an interesting play coming from Witness Gaming EU. They bombed a soldier behind to land in Choke, hoping to kind of pinch with both bombs, but there just wasn't enough pressure being applied. It didn't force balls to back up, basically.
Yeah.
So they were comfortable enough to just turn around, collect their kill, and then go forward from there.
Yeah, they were fine with just, you know, turning around, picking up people that they could, and then readjusting their attention where it needed to be, picking up who was available instead of, you know, getting overly aggressive. And obviously from, you know, a fundamental standpoint, that's just good TF2, but hold the phone. A Uber is getting ripped. Art is getting a lot of damage up onto the Heavy in top left heaven. Heavy will go down. High Five dies though. Poppy looking to bite at 5. There is a lot of players dead. 4 balls. They lose at 3, but it is a 3v3 now. 2v3 now as Witness Gaming. Now it's just down to Lucas, and he's down. Slumnish going to find the final kill of that round, converting the first round for Balls team.
Yeah, that was an interesting push. I mean, they focused really heavily on the Heavy and making sure that the Heavy was dealt with. Oh, wait. We just missed a back cap. Oh my God. I was not locked in. I was doing something else. I'm sorry, chat. Who just back capped?
I don't think it was a back cap. I think it was all up to
Lucas. A refight?
It was up to Lucas. He was the last one standing, and he just couldn't fight the point.
Okay, I am dabbling my brains out then.
It happens to the best of us. But going into this mid, no real damage coming. Oh, of course, as soon as I say that, Hugo and Thomas take a good chunk of damage. Nobody on Witness has overheal. Good bomb from Poppy, though. Wow. 2 rockets. 1 downward direct onto Zilly to seal the deal. Poppy goes down. So does Dingo, however. It's 2 players dead. 4 Balls team. Witness EU responding very quickly and very aggressively, wanting to make sure they have total control over this mid. And they're saying no quarter.
Yeah.
They're not even going to take mercy on Jay here, who's caught in sewer.
Artist was able to get traps up. That's basically the only asset that Balls have at the moment. And they do get cleared. They do get dead. No value. So Auto, having survived the mid, now full advantage into last. And shoes on the other foot. It's time for Witness Gaming EU's chance to push last with this full advantage. And honestly, okay, not the exact same setup. We don't have the Heavy in heaven, but I imagine Lobby's going to get taken here. They're going to spot a gun and just use into the gun, if I had to guess.
Yeah, they see that gun early. They're going to take it down quick. I mean, that Uber pretty much just got ripped. They have the Heavy, but he's not in a very great position right now, I'd say. He still hasn't gone down, which is important to note, but I don't think they're really going to be able to make anything happen here. They tried to get in, but they just weren't able to. They couldn't find a good enough angle, and now Zilly has about 90% Uber. High Five is going to be able to find Poppy as well, which is going to be very, very nice for
that early kill onto Hugo with the Uber was basically all Balls needed, because at that point they just kind of chill out. That being said, Uber immediately gets popped. Ixie was sniping defensively, but Lucas is caught. Oh man, High Five, however, does die on the flank. So it looks like we do have a scout chasing that soldier away. So overall, it is a trade, and this sniper now is a big threat. Peeking in, Dingo gonna finally secure that kill. Ooh, man, if Dingo can find a trade here, unfortunately does not. Ooh, it might get cleaned up here. That would be really nice for Balls to get. Unfortunately, no.
Jay, oh my.
The pick gets lured in, and as I say that as well, Slemnish going down. What a horrible push out from the Balls team, and they commit Uber for that as well, meaning now it's disad on last.
I didn't even notice that they committed Uber there, so this is going to make it like almost impossible for them to hold. I still think they can. They have a lot of time to actually get set up. They can probably get a level 2, because I think Witness is probably going to wait for Hugo, But if they don't, it might be a little bit harder. They're actually not going to win. They're going to rip
they're
fast. They see the gun. It gets taken down very, very early on. Dingo looking to jump somebody. Jumps towards the ring, but gets levitated by the scouts. Is able to find Poppy nonetheless. Dingo gets traded up by Tomas. High five. Going to be able to find Hugo.
Scout in heaven.
Down for
finds the med. Oh my god. Zilly barely hitting the resupply bind in time. At this point, oh man, there's a surprising amount of aggression here still from Witness. Tomas will decide to just pull the trigger there, which realistically, he's not expecting to get much there. He really just wants to make sure that Otto isn't caught leaving.
Yeah.
So that worked out. But that was a very nice hold from Balls. They kited the aggression perfectly. They recognized which side the other team was ending on, and they took the space they needed to be able to defend the point.
Yeah, they played a pretty great last there. I honestly wasn't really expecting them to be able to hold on to it, but here we are. Bomb attempt coming in from Hugo, gets taken down by Jay. Scout. Oh my goodness! Artist hitting a rather beautiful pipe there. A little bit of a Picasso with the lock and
the
load.
traps though.
Oh,
man.
and Jay down to
That's
the
tough.
choke trap.
Yeah, in this position, Balls would really like to make something happen on second while they have the kills, because it is disad, right? If things sputter out here and the momentum stops, then it's what we're seeing now, which is Witness has the opportunity to push. Nice bomb, however. Yeah, just finds the timing, honestly. Scouts just didn't see him. He got so many rockets off there. Pretty straightforward force. Now, Zilly, 70%. Once we see this point get capped, well, notably once we see Zilly get Uber, we're likely going to see some aggression. Notably as well, though, Witness are posted up for a flank shove. I think this is going to be pretty decisive in what happens next.
Yeah. If I was Witness here, honestly, I would just play by my own choke, leave somebody to die, leave Poppy or Hugo to try and get it, but the flank shove is what they're going to commit to. They're going to find Slemnish, which isn't too bad. They get one for their trouble, but...
got popped as well and didn't find Otto. So it's looking like, oh man, and on the backlines actually, Dingo is going to get cleaned up as well by Poppy. That's 3 Witness Gaming EU players behind. They are backcapping. The demo is walking forward. He's got the sword out on Zilly. Zilly goes down. Oh my god, Otto actually finds a way to go down there, but the back cap went all the way to last.
Yeah, Hugo and his scout pair there, they were just on second. Nobody was able to turn around in time, and Hugo sent it. He went the long mile. He wanted it, and they converted the round pretty cleanly.
And it did come down to that flank shove as well.
Yeah.
Because they got the kills to get behind and then just continued collecting kills. But we are at a tie game now, mid number 3.
Yeah, mid number 3. 21:45 left in the match here, so this is still anyone's game. EU have dropped a couple rounds, but that hasn't put them down. They're not discouraged from it. Hugo and Artist going to go down here. A trade happening. Demo for Soldier. Pretty good pick to have if you are witnessing. You and Zilly goes down to the stickies from Lucas. Otto finds Jay. First med kill of the game, if I am not mistaken. Poppy goes down to Dingo. High five, trying to get those spam rockets. Doesn't want to push too far.
That pipe was actually really nice because there's a chance. I mean, Tomas is still comfortable enough against 3 weak combat players as the only guy, but only 2, very easy to manage. So Otto and Tomas will just be chilling out in sewer until their spawner shows up. And now we're looking at Witness Gaming EU in the driver's seat. It is a mid to last type of situation, I suppose, only this time because it was such a long mid. Slemnish is able to get up on Sniper and take a position, which he otherwise wouldn't have been able to.
He takes the shot, and if they didn't notice they had a sniper, they know now. Uber does get forced, though, a double bomb from Balls to get the Uber out
getting kills
from Witness. Maybe. High five does go down here. That is one soldier. Dingo could potentially die. 21 in their sewer. Ixie knows he's behind as well. So
yeah, well, that's the thing. If there's ever a team that can capitalize off of knowing a player is really far behind, it is, well, actually, as I say that, they are looking back. And Dingo, I imagine, is screaming to his team, hey, their medic is coming back, choke for me, go peek. We don't see it, it doesn't entice a switch off of Engineer for Jay. I think they're just content to have Dingo behind for the time being, but they are taking lobby space. They're peeking. They're seeing what the positioning looks like. On the backlines, however, Dingo is taking that 1v1. If he loses that, this fight goes very poorly for Ball's team. They do pop Uber as well, and I must have lost track of it being ad there. Oh, this is looking very bad now.
Yeah, this is not looking great. Zilly dies. I believe Artist getting pinched there by Hugo is just... That was super unfortunate.
Dingo is still behind as well.
Wait,
He's been on his own little adventure this whole time. If he gets out, that would be
unbelievable.
He lives.
He's getting chased like, ah!
There's no way. I will say, as you have soldiers who play this game who are like incredible jumpers and they've done tier 6 maps and all that, Dingo is really, really good at like traversing the map as a soldier. But we are seeing an Uber into last tier. Looks like Lucas immediately taking out the gun. Notably, Dingo is still dead, only now spawning. Heavy is forced to resupply. Not the best or most comfortable position, to be honest, for Witness Gaming, but a lot of cap time.
And only 2 players left alive on Ball's team to defend. It's just the Buddhist that can really do anything. High Five not able to reach the point in time. EU are going to claim their 2nd round. They're going to make the scoreline 2-1 in their favor. And honestly, that round I don't think was that long, but it felt like that felt very back and forth.
Yeah.
It felt like it definitely felt like a proper matchup, I guess.
I mean, it was like, I think technically, well, no, because there was the attempted push out from Balls, so it was not a true mid to last in that fashion. In any case, this spam onto Tomas is incredible. Oh my god, the spam onto everyone on red is just
oh my goodness, Poppy!
Okay, it's still a trade though, and the space is quite nice from Balls. We do see the bomb in from Dingo, going to be backing up now. The space has kind of been giving up. Not a lot of that space taken from Balls team was on height, granted. We see a big trade there from Slumdish and Hugo. Ooh, but Tomas getting a little too aggressive there, does get shut down. And notably as well, Ixie is nowhere near the beam, so what would have been a pretty even fight, all things considered, is turning into Ixie kind of out of position here, unable to take that fair fight, just going to get focused down and killed. And that late death as well is going to be very nice for Ball's team, who are absolutely going to want to make things happen on 2nd here.
Yeah, Ball's team, I'm fairly certain they kind of just want to hunker down for a moment. EU, I should say, they kind of want to hunker down towards rollout. Try and get some spam as Balls players come in, but Jay is in upper IT, looking to push point if players are overly aggressive. He's on the point now, 60 health, a little
Hugo
risky.
got spotted behind.
Gets down. Or gets taken down. Someone's going to find the pick. The Uber comes out. Slumdish going to be running forward, trying to focus down this demo. A little bit of beefage, launches it towards the choke. Is very low. Lucas finds his team, though. Now Thomas looking to take down Zilly. Does find the final meat shot to seal the deal. Does look like a Witness EU really coming out on top of this fight. Can't Slumdish win the MGE? Almost, but Poppy comes in to spoil the 1v1. Tomas finds High Five here as well, and Witness EU are going to very confidently make their way on mid, plant their flag, and try to set them up.
And notably as well, if Auto were, well, the fact that Auto's only at 50%, but still has 50 ad, means that if they can comfortably dry push this point against the sniper on Jay, which is a difficult thing to do, and wow, they managed to achieve it pretty straightforwardly.
Yeah.
Auto only at 70%. You know that 50 ad is still 50 ad. And they even have time. They're buffing their guys. Poppy getting that full buff. Here comes Hugo. They have plenty of time to decide what door they want to go. Looks like soldiers will be taking lobby, but a fast 1 Uber, in fact. Ooh, Sticky gets juggled from Lucas. Lands in heaven nonetheless. They don't get any kills with the direct Uber, but Artist might be caught out.
Oh, Hugo with the 2-for-1 rocket onto Jay and Zilly in their spawn, no less, looking for the other soldier pick. Launches him in the air. Free pick for his scouts. 80 damage, I believe, onto that scout. Finding Solemnish there with the help of his scout as well. Good play from Hugo, giving his team a lot of space there. Obviously, you know, Witness EU pushed them back into that spawn, but Hugo came in to really seal the deal.
No, that was a well-played push, because normally 1 as a door is more of a fast transition door, but there they slowed down for the buff, but it still worked out because their entire plan was to kite the entire team away so that both their soldiers lobby could just bomb through for a pinch.
Yeah. And moving on to this mid here, both demos kind of just peppering each other really. right over the head, both getting about to equal HP. So they're not going to try and get overly aggressive there, not trying to push too much space. Looks like the health for Witness EU is significantly worse. Poppy and Tomas, now it's going to be Hugo, Lucas, and Tomas, all very weak. They have nobody buffed. They do have a player down on the side of Ball's team, though, and I think just by players alone, Witness EU can win this. Hugo is getting fought by 2 behind, but it's a bomb from Poppy. The air shot after the jungle takes down Zilly. Ixie finds Slemnish, and now they move. Oh my goodness, Artist, you can't get away with that.
I'm assuming, so Otto actually died during that, which I missed. That I'm assuming was Dingo, either Dingo or Slemnish, someone on the flank. But nonetheless, it's looking, well, it's a Scout. Scout is such a privileged class, and Tomas finds a kill. Oh, that's so close.
Can he find
Man.
2 is the real question.
Tomas is, both these players are scared. Okay, the spawners are here. This is a long mid-fight we're looking at because this is part 2. And, oh wow, Ball's team actually just calling it off. I guess the space was taken fast enough from Witness Gaming to make them back up, but that was looking relatively even-footed.
Yeah, I thought that looked relatively even as well. I don't think EU had too much space, but I think they realized Balls was just deciding not to push, and they wanted to capitalize off that, so you can't fault them for that at all. What a shot from High Five! Doesn't find the kill, but that one's going in the clip montage nonetheless, I feel. Ubers are evening out here. Both teams are about to have Uber. Witness actually does have, but they're not going to be able to make anything with this.
Yeah.
Probably going to see a sack, although I do see Combo moving through Sewer, so maybe they're pressuring here, trying to send someone in through the choke.
Pretty standard place to pressure. And they're really goading out these double soldier
Oh!
bombs. They get the kill onto Tome. Okay, they trade out 2 for 2. Overall fine for Ball's team. Witness are still going to take this opportunity to pressure because, hey, no soldiers means very little spam. And they're able to peek the door a bit. Honestly, they're not accomplishing too much. Really is just up to the Poppy Bomb, who unfortunately messes up the rocket jump. So that will call things off. They're going to wait for their spawners now. And we're going to reset to another 6v6 pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're going to have to get comfortable seeing this type of situation. Both of these teams, they know when to be aggressive, but they also know sometimes you got to play back, and they both know that this is that kind of time. They both know that they can't really throw anything at each other. Both teams have Uber, and it's on Witness to really make something happen here, of course, and Balls knows that. She goes in, one rocket, gets the force!
Wow. That was a bomb like from the, High Five with a nice little consolation air shot on that soldier who just forced his med. And actually we just see Witness Gaming already taking space. The attempted sack from Dingo is gonna get shut down hard. Is anyone else gonna commit to this? Doesn't look like it, but players might be caught. Oh yeah, Jay does find a trade, but still disad last, doesn't really change much. If anything, you'd like to have a player off-classing on last, and High Five is caught leaving. I think we might be looking at a 4-1 game unless this sniper can pull off something huge.
Did get some good damage onto the demo, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. There's a lot of cap time here, and that spawn is locked out. Good pipes from Lucas here, just flicking on everyone. It looks like Ixie is going to be able to find Slemnish and Dingo off of that damage from Lucas, and Witness Gaming EU is going to extend their lead by 3 rounds, making the scoreline 4-1 in their favor.
Momentum is very clearly in their favor now. One thing I've been noticing on mids, however, is that the Balls team have much better spam. There's multiple times every mid where players from EU have to back up and get arrows and stuff like that, but it's not converting into kills for Balls. They just aren't stepping on the throat when the opportunity's there, and they're letting Witness get away with taking a lot of spam on these mids.
Yeah, Poppy's going in, lands a nice downward rocket onto someone on a awning there. Looks like Hugo's gonna go down. Tomas and Zilly both gonna be dying. There's no meta live for the Balls team, but Witness EU needs to peel back and protect Otto, because at this point, everybody on Balls is looking to take down Otto. They're giving chase hard.
At this point, do you just pet? Okay.
Ooh.
They do actually confirm that kill. There was maybe an argument to be made there of letting Auto live for a little bit. There is actually a 1v1 Scout versus Soldier on mid. Not really consequential to who wins the mid, but definitely consequential to whether Poppy gets that extra kill in the log or not. But yeah, I mean, if they are able to keep Auto alive a little bit longer, then it is playable ad into last potentially. Now granted, he's right by a door that's pretty hard to chase through, especially if someone like Spawn Sniper that can maybe cover a peek. So not really faulting Ball's team for just taking the kill, but it's definitely something that could have been considered there. As we actually have a tech pause going on, some mumble issues for Witness Gaming.
Interesting, all right. Is that that's the first tech you and I have seen all day. I don't know how many techs have actually been shown on stream, let alone how many pauses. I know there was a config issue much earlier. I think round 1 on the Essentials, or was it round 2? It was either round 1 or 2 on the Essentials broadcast where there was, I think it was Froyo versus the Aussies, so I think it was round 1. Where there was a config issue and we had to pause. I think that was the only one today, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. I think overall, as far as this game is concerned, I mean, Ball's team are at least, they're on the other team's second. It's even Ubers, could be a lot worse. They get to pressure into last, they get to cook, but momentum really isn't in their favor as far as the grand scheme of the game is concerned. Because it's worth noting as well, there's 10 minutes left in this game. If this timer hits 0 and the score is not at least 4-4, then Ball's team just loses.
Yeah.
So even though some of the fighting has been back and forth, honestly, recently Witness has been kind of taking some rounds, but we're actually unpaused here. But the longer that things are going back and forth, the more that favors Witness, because the harder it becomes to score the mandatory 3 rounds that Balls needs in this remaining 10 minutes.
Yeah, and granted, 10 minutes is absolutely more than enough time to get those, 3 rounds that are necessary to keep themselves in the game. As we said, though, Hugo going in gets the trade with Dingo here. I guess Dingo's going to be able to add that one to his air shot collection. But
oh, and it looks like actually Witness think it's more disad than it is. Auto was in fact building better than Zilly and got Uber first. That was like 10 disad most, but because of that passive positioning, space has been taken through the doors, and Lucas actually a little forward gets dealt with. Look at that cap time, they just get
don't
it.
Have anyone on point, nobody has health.
Despite it being even Ubers, off of no other advantage other than the fact that Witness Gaming EU were playing passively and not near the doors, Ball's team were able to convert that into a demo kill, into so much cap time, into a full round.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're starting to wake up a little bit. They I'm not sure what their record is. They're either going even or they've lost more games than they've won here, but they're looking to either make themselves go positive or at least make themselves go even here. Not sure what their record is, but Poppy is going to be bombing in. Nice rocket onto Zilly. The second one, he finds Artist as well with the same rocket. Slumnish and High Five trying to respond. Find Poppy and Hugo.
So
Jay dies to Lucas as well.
Auto is so comfy here in IT. Just a tiny little door for your teammates to watch. Yeah, so Ball's team are trying to get some cap time here. It really doesn't matter, like, as far as Witness's gaming is concerned, because, hey, take the point if you want. We're just going to walk right through. We have heals, you don't. Yeah. Oh, what's that? I just chipped you for 20 damage? That's never going away unless you get a pack. And long term, they're winning the mid. Now, that being said, them being a little slow to refight mid and retake it means that Zilly is now already at 40%. So we see the attempted sack.
The counter from Dingo!
What a bomb!
What a beautiful sack from Dingo there. Doesn't quite get the drop, but gets that force out. They do lose Dingo for it, so Balls will have to kind of play back for a little bit, but no doubt in my mind, as soon as that Uber counter gets to like 90, 95, they're already going to be in lobby, ready to push out, trying to reclaim their second point, because really right now, Witness should not be anywhere near to, and they know that. They're playing by their choke here. Auto just building.
Yeah, no one seems to be caught, but there is a shove into last. 3 players from Witness Gaming EU, very aggressive. And the Uber will turn around and collect those 2 kills. That is the double-edged sword of trying to run behind the Uber, is the fact that, yes, you can cause chaos on the flank, but if no one's caught in front and you turn into those 2 kills, well, the Uber just got value that we're seeing now. a
Yeah.
dry fight into mid off of nothing other than those 2 kills.
Yeah, and they have to dry fight into an Uber as well. They lose
Ooh.
Dingo to Lucas. Slumnish is going to be able to find a pick during the Uber. They find Poppy, but that's quickly traded out by Hugo, finding High Five. Maybe Slumnish can make up for it by winning this fight in sewer, gets help from Jay, takes down Tomas,
man.
but now Jay going to get traded out by Lucas as well.
Yeah.
Hugo trying to find this, crazy washing machine aim rocket, isn't quite able to find it, and this is just going to be Witness EU trying to get some kind of foothold on second. They know they're going to be on Uber Disap. This is just ad flip-flop right now. We've seen it happen a couple times now. And really, it's on Ball's team to kind of just throw themselves out there and try and make something happen.
Oh, going IT, that usually indicates a pop through, but honestly, their pop throughs have not been catching things too much. Artist will pogo through. Can he catch the scout?
Nuclear!
Tomas does go down. No other kills, but that's still enough for Ball's team to pressure into 2 here. Auto is close to getting, so you can still pressure with this pick. The only thing you have to worry about is make sure that Zilly does not die to the Uber. Uber gets popped, it gets Artist. Zilly is he caught? He's caught to the Uber, the one thing.
Oh, and Ixie's hitting all the meat shots. It's going to be Lucas with the debt to finish off Zilly as well. Jay trying to find some picks, does get traded as well. High Five now dying. Slemish finds Ixie, the last one standing on the mid. Could win this fight with the Soldier, though, just dancing around him.
Scout privilege,
finds
man.
him. But
That
Tomas
is
wins the Scout 1v1.
Okay, crazy fight. I mean, both teams basically wiped. So Tomas will not be able to cap the point on his own. All he can really get is a kill. Finds a trade onto Artist. That is a valuable pick. I expect that Witness Gaming EU will do some fighting off of that. Granted, they have some slow spawners, so they need to meet up with those players first. But we'll see. Actually, they seem to be indicating just waiting on 2.
Yeah.
Now, this decision is because Tomas was dead, who is actually off-class checking as well. For those of you who don't know, a spy disguise prioritizes a player already on a class. So if you disguise as a sniper and get a repeat disguise on the same player, or you see cosmetics or unlocks or anything like that, you know beyond a reasonable doubt someone is playing that class, just as a way to make sure you don't get caught unawares against a sniper or a spy or a class like that.
Yeah, and I think we have Balls looking to push through IT here, trying to meet EU head on, and they're going to pop through. They're going to be trying to fight this Soldier here. I believe that's going to be Hugo going down here. They're moving towards the point. They're looking to get the Uber out, and they do, but it's such a late pop.
Here.
Tomas goes in, finds Zilly as the first pick in the Uber, looking to find this scout on the point as well, or under the point, I should say, but isn't going to be able to. Close but no cigar. High Five is going to be spawning up very soon here.
Man.
Could be coming in towards the end of the fight, able to maybe convert a kill if he's quick enough. Poppy is trying to take the fight with Slemnish in upright T, and with the help of Ixie, survives by the skin of their teeth. That is going to be a failed push from Balls. They do get the Uber out from Witness, but now they're at 45 disad.
Cheeky spoon there from High Five, finding a Soldier trade. Yeah, I mean, Witness played that perfectly. You have a kill on the other team. Oh, nice little death there from Artist. Now, Ball's team, despite being down both Soldiers and it being even numbers, are still going to be fighting this. It is disad, but the Uber is not in play yet. Auto only has 76%. And they want more. They're peeking Choke into second. This is interesting. Artist even bombing for some space. They are really forcing Witness to back up. And we might see Auto now having Uber about to use. Does in fact happen. Artist is caught, however. Oh man, how many kills are Witness gonna get in this Uber? That is the question.
I'm pretty sure that's a 3K for Ixie there, making their kill streak 4. Zilly is one of the last players standing. High Five, I don't think is anywhere near. Goes for Auto with the head, but isn't quite able to, accepts their fate, gets melee killed by Tomas. High Five trying to combat these people pushing in through Choke, but I believe it's Poppy here, able to land that final rocket, securing that kill, and now Balls has to set up on 2, ready to leave 2, nonetheless. 60 disad, I mean, it does get worse than this, but, you know, right now with 2:18 on the clock, now Slemnish dead.
Yeah, this is bad.
Yeah, this is not good for Balls.
Oh, with 2 minutes left, I think it might be literal proper garbage time.
Yeah.
But we might be done a little sooner than that because there's an Uber being taken into last with a kill. And in fact, they're milking through as well. Gun goes down without Uber being popped. Still so much ad. Zilly nowhere near getting. Tomas does die on point. before the Uber could get used. So that's something for Balls team, but no. Down goes Zilly, down goes High
Wait,
Five.
Poppy's dead. They actually might have to pull out
There's
here.
more combat here. The spawners have arrived, so it will be a hold. But minute 40 left. Balls team, with Zilly being dead as well, it's basically over. Yeah, it seems like Witness Gaming EU kind of figured things out. I noticed that in a lot of these fights, their main priority was just kill Zilly. Because when we have the med kill, we're good at just holding S, let them walk into us, let them just do whatever they want because they have no med. They can't do anything meaningful as far as objectives are concerned. So as long as you're securing that med kill in those fights, then you're good afterwards.
Yeah, and I believe Witness here just tried to push pretty much their whole team through rollout. They ate a lot of spam, but I guess it's working out for him as Tomas is in behind, getting a lot of good damage, takes down High Five, gets a lot of damage onto Zilly as well.
Artist.
It's just Artist alive. Can
like
they make last their canvas? The answer is no. Witness Gaming EU will take Process in a 5-2 game, almost taking up all 30 minutes. Granted, Balls team did put up a good fight, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, I had pretty decent confidence actually in Artist. I know stream I'm leaning forward a lot. Computer's not exactly situated perfectly for the couch. I'm just pulling up the logs here so we have something to look at.
Of course.
Oh, is that right? That doesn't look right at all. I think the logs must have been split up.
I know there are some log issues today. Some servers have not been uploading their logs properly.
Yeah. Okay, that log is kind of nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at the end of things, it was, again, about Witness Gaming figuring out we just kill Zilly, which is ironic as well, because I think back to Season 6, the first time that Froyo lost in, like, forever was to a Witness Gaming team, and their plan was, let's just kill skis. Let's just kill the other team's med. So it can work. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because as long as you're playing very well and you're not giving the other team opportunities to do anything in their chaos, you're, bunkering up somewhere safe, you're making sure that everyone stays perfectly healthy, not giving any dumb 1v1s, then it's so difficult to make any type of progress against a team with good positioning and good heals when your medic just died.
Yeah. I mean, Witness had the right idea for a good while, I think. Well, I mean, not even for a good while. It was the right idea the whole time because seemingly Balls team just really couldn't regroup. I guess they never took one of their tacks to really discuss it. Teams are, surprisingly, for once in a LAN, teams aren't pausing all of the time. But it just looks like Balls team really wasn't able to regroup and try and get things together. They weren't able to kind of discuss why things were failing on mids a lot of the time. They were able to win, a good couple of fights. Obviously, they put rounds on the board, so it's not a blowout. They fought back, and they got close to making it a 3-5.
Well, not only did they strike first blood, but it was a 4-1 game at a point. So despite Witness EU kind of figuring things out and definitely getting a lot of momentum, Balls team were still able to conjure up a round. So it was definitely competitive. But I do think that kind of shows the difference between a team that is formed with LAN competition in mind and really wanting to compete at that level versus a team of players who go to LANs and want to go to LANs and are friends and are like, hey, let's just make a team, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of those situations in which maybe going over things in a review setting or maybe just scrimming together as a team consistently, you'll have a better idea of what to do in some of those situations than Balls team did, where, it just kind of seemed like, they were playing like the team that they are, right?
Yeah. And I think, we might not have logs, but we do have our noggin where we can remember some of the plays that happened in this game. And these soldiers, man, on both teams, words cannot describe. They played so well on both sides. So many, not only flashy plays, but so many genuinely impactful plays as well. A lot of great bombs, a lot of great just opportunities that they took almost all of the time, really. Trying to get those forces, trying to take, you know, these fights where they can catch someone out of position. These soldiers were on it. They were on lock.
I will take the opportunity to glaze Dingo again because he's not known as, I mean, he plays soldier and he plays it in invite, but he's more so considered a demo main, I suppose. And he's not considered like the highest echelon of invite soldier. But I don't know of soldiers that, at least not in North America, that have better bombing mechanics and like traversing rocket jump mechanics. It kind of seems like a lot of invite soldiers focus more on hitting shots rather than like creative ways to bomb and creative ways to roll out. Because sure, it's boring to roll out and you can just do something that works and gets you there quickly. But if you can show up half a second faster, which is not a lot, then out of 10 fights where you need spawners there, suddenly if now 3 of them you have a better fight, okay, that's actually really huge. And that was something I noticed as well, just with that like sack through choke. He managed to bomb around the corner so deep in a way that a lot of soldiers just high bomb and then just plop down like a potato and hope that the other med just walks forward and just walks into your sink, right? But
yeah, I think I'm one of those. Soldiers that goes high, plops down. There is a reason I have never left open. But
it's all about those timings.
It's all about those timings, and I mean, these soldiers really demonstrated it. They were in on it. They, like I said, they were locked in. They knew what they wanted to do, and they executed it almost exactly how they wanted to every single time. So, I mean, these soldiers have nothing but my great things to say about them. And of course, the demos as well. Lucas especially hitting some crazy pipes throughout the game. And of course, Artist painting his canvas on that last.
Lucas was a player to look out for going into this LAN because I'm sure people have already mentioned before that going into this event, Witness Gaming EU did show up early, a little bit of boot camping, get rid of some of that jet lag, and they've been playing against teams and practicing against them. And some of those logs were very scary and nerve-wracking for the North American viewership because they were doing very well, and Lucas was a standout player in those logs, very consistently outperforming NA's best demos, who we think of as the best in the world. And yeah, I mean, definitely a player that needs to be accounted for.
Yeah, I honestly, I feel like a lot of people kind of gloss over the Witness teams just because, you know, they're not from the region. A lot of, you know, NA players aren't familiar with the other regions as well, especially Australia. But it's like, Lucas is definitely someone you have to keep an eye out for. You have to. There's no way you can't look out for him, because if you underestimate him, you're done.
Yeah. And not only that, but he's using an unlock that Europe has banned already.
Yeah.
It's not banned here, and he gets to use that that dirty toy now. That it's no longer illegal. So, yeah, it's been something. I will mention as well for Witness Gaming EU, something that I think made a big difference in this game in particular was they're very consistent about pushing into last. And a lot of teams and a lot of the rounds we see getting scored, they are scored because a player gets either a kill before the Uber, or some random player is caught, or the Uber itself finds a kill. And those aren't, there's ways to play and be unpredictable and find yourself those kills, but you're not going to be able to consistently find picks during Ubers. And Witness were able to take the fact that their Uber's not necessarily getting a free kill, right?
Yeah.
But take good amounts of space and also just apply so much pressure, corral the team into a specific location, only to be bombing that. And I haven't seen other teams get kills immediately after an Uber so quickly as Witness Gaming EU, because normally you kind of have to take a chill pill for a moment. Because the second that Uber fades, you're now vulnerable, and if there's 5 players looking at you, it really doesn't matter if you had full ad, now you're dead, right? But they're able to play those post-ubers in the immediate aftermath of those post-ubers with a lot of confidence.
Yeah, Witness had some excellent post-ubers that were just really awesome to watch, really awesome to see how quickly they could collapse on either a retreating team or, like I said earlier, these soldiers that are working very well with their scouts. I should add, not just to say that it's all the soldiers. The scouts were doing fantastic as well. These soldiers working very well with their scouts to coordinate some kind of collapse on these players. But I do believe that is going to do it for this group round. Before we send it to a quick break, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsors for this event, Physgun Server Hosting. I actually have my own Physgun server. It is really nice, like really nice. They have cheap plans. I pay $9 a month for my server. It's like bare minimum because it's a TF2 server. You don't have to give it crazy specs. It can work with pretty much anything, really, especially if you're just setting it up for something like Sixes or Highlander. It comes with a lot of things preloaded. You can download the competitive configs straight to the server. The UI is very user-friendly as well. There are some things that, I think could be placed in other places, but it's like a 9 out of 10 UI, honestly. And big shout outs to Manco Store as well. I use that very frequently to buy me some drip. And I'm pretty sure that's where my friend got me my birthday present last year. Bought me my Strange Original for genuinely, I think, $80 cheaper than on the Steam market. It is genuinely such a great place to go if you are looking for cheaper items than the Steam community market. But that is going to wrap it up for this round's coverage. We will be back later with Game 7, and we will see you whenever that comes around.